Welcome, 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 welcome.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Meet Us in the Trenches.
Welcome back, welcome back.
I'm your host, Tanera.
And I'm your co-host, Coach Said.
It's so good to be here with you today.
Well, am I on? Am I on?
Can we hear Coach Said?
Check, check.
There
check,
we go.
Check, check. Yeah, good. I'm on, ready. Welcome back to another episode of Meeting You in the Trenches. We got a great show tonight. And shout out to our sponsors, T-Drone, Tone Drone, and TJ for Brainstream Media. And of course, the famous Moe's Restaurant, the greatest crab cakes in the world. So what we got coming up this show, Miss Tan Tan from Brooklyn. I didn't know you was from Brooklyn.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
All my life.
So tell me what we got going on this show, Tan.
I want to give a shout out to my other half, Kalia Janique, who is not here today.
Yeah, we
but
miss
shout
her.
outs to her.
We miss her.
I just want to know, how was your Mother's Day? It was Mother's Day weekend, and mothers,
Well,
women.
Well, you know,
We're so important.
everything high priced. And you know, Father's Day, everything be on sale, right? But I spent Mother's Day with the wife and the family, and it was nice. She wanted one of those Stanley cuppy things. And,
Oh, got the pricey cup.
yeah, that's what she wanted, one of those. And,
Okay.
She got like a purple one, Ravens colors.
Okay.
So she enjoyed it. So what did you do?
Nice. So my mom, she just wants some steak. She wants to go out to a steakhouse. And this time since it was Mother's Day, since it's very crowded in certain restaurants, she said, I just want to stay inside and I want to order steak inside. So I said, okay. So we went, ordered some Outback, stayed home, ate, and just relaxed.
Nice. Well, got a great show coming up. So who we got on today, Miss Tan Tan?
Yes, we do. So today we have Derek McPherson, we have Joseph Lorick, Troy Hackley, and Kendall Hilton. It's going to be an amazing show today. We have so much info coming our way, so many questions to be answered. I'm ready to get to know everybody.
But
in
before we
person.
get started, what about the mayor's race? What about the mayor's race? So we say it was only 20-something percentile that voted,
But only
and-
8%.
and only 8% got Mr. Scott his back in office. What do you think about that? What do you think about the
I think
low turnout in voting?
I think the statistics are awful because if only 20% voted and 8% is what, had him, elected or winning or whatever, that's not enough. That's not even a quarter of people. That's not even half people voting. So I definitely want to suggest that everybody make sure that they're registered to vote and they go out and vote, because that is a very low percentage.
So what do you think the lack of turnout? What do you think is that? You think that's about? What do you think?
I think that
In your words, what do you think this about?
I think that maybe nobody cares. Maybe they think that their vote doesn't matter. So maybe that's why they're not going out and voting. But your vote does matter. You should go out and vote. Make sure you're registered. Encourage your friends. Make it a group thing. Go with your family. Then the numbers will go up.
Yeah, that's true. Well, maybe the next term, everybody will go out and vote.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna make it my
that's just
duty.
a shame. That's a shame. I mean, unfortunately, I live in Edgewood, so I didn't get to vote in the city. But, I keep my vote to myself.
All right, let's make it a thing. Let's make sure we go out and do it. We can make it a group thing.
Yeah, most definitely. But I want to give a shout out to Avon. I think he is one of the Ravens security guy. I was asking for those new shoes called Canes. These shoes. So I had posted on Facebook. I was like, man, what about them shoes? I said I really like them. And the coach and Avon, of course, he hit my phone up. He said, what size you wear, Sad? I told him what size I wore. And I came home from work one day, man. I had a pair in the door.
Oh, that's nice.
A pair in the door.
Hooked you up.
Shout out Shout out to Avon. I think he's head of security for the Ravens, or he works for security for the Ravens. Major shout out to Avon. I really appreciate it, man, if you're listening, if you're watching.
That's awesome.
So we'll be back. We'll take commercial break. We'll come back. And again, shout out to our sponsors. We got Mo's Famous Seafood, Tone Drone, and TJ with Brainstream Media.
And we'll be back with Derek McPherson.
Right back.
Our mission focuses on showcasing local and global talent of all ages on and off the field. We will strive to inspire, educate, and bridge the divides through our media collaboration. Our goal is to give student athletes and coaches the platform to let their talents be seen and a platform for the community to let their voices be heard. This is the Union Media Group.
And welcome back to Meet Us in the Trenches. We have our first guest here with us. His name is Derek McPherson. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming to Meet Us in the Trenches.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, as you all heard, my name is Derek McPherson. Just turned 38 last, 2 weeks ago. May 8th was my birthday, so.
Big 30.
Not much of a birthday when Mother's Day right behind it. A little bit about myself right now. What I'm doing is after school programs. That's my passion. That's my ultimate mission and assignment right now. Determined to make a change. That's taking most of my time. That's my nonprofit, a 501c3 organization. And what we do is we go into Title I schools and we hold after school programs. After school programs that are centered around fitness, health, and nutrition. And then we also do academic enrichment, and our number one program is called Confidence Through Sports. So we really work on the youth confidence, just making sure that they know who they are and they know what skill sets they have in their toolbox.
So tell us about, they say you was a football player at one time, man. Tell us about your football prowess.
Yes. I was born into a football family.
Okay.
So I wasn't really responsible for playing football. It was just something I was born into. My mom played football. My mom came from Dunbar High School in Baltimore, Paul Lawrence. Mm-hmm. My dad was a Calvert Hall guy. Ooh. And they came together and created 8 wonderful kids. And I'm one of 8, and 7 boys, 1 girl. My sister's the youngest. So that's pretty much it. So as far as football, like I said, my mom played football for Baltimore Burn. Oh. She played on the first team ever. Man. So when I say it's in the blood and DNA, it's in the blood and DNA.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. How many years did she play for? That's amazing.
Yeah, I think my mom played about 2 years. You know, it's a little different when you can't go into the training room and get taped up or get recovery, and then you got to come home and fix food for guys like me and 6 other ones. So she started to put things in perspective. And so she played for about a year and a half, 2 years.
So what position did you play during that time? Or positions, rather?
Primarily, I was a wide receiver.
Okay.
Wide receiver. So coming from Howard High School, I transferred to DeMatha, where I wanted to really excel and really push myself athletically and academically. And my dad ultimately had a great vision for us all. As you can see, it worked. For 8 kids, it worked. So went to DeMatha and football. I loved baseball, but I just knew football, so it was the familiarity with that sport that kept me in it. But I really found out that I really loved and liked baseball more.
Just tell us about your Northwood days.
Yes.
You know, they should be our rival when I was at Sandtown, one of them, and we rivaled Coach Herb. I know Coach Peanut back in the day, they coached 11-13, and him and Coach Herb used to battle back in the day. Yep. So tell us a little bit about your Northwood days.
Northwood. Northwood, I got some people from Northwood in the background. Can't say enough about Northwood and what they did for my youth and development in my career. I started in Columbia. Ultimately, we lived in Baltimore, Hollander Ridge, and my dad moved us to Columbia because he had a better vision for us. But then after just dominating, it's like practice was so easy. And then my dad wanted to give us both perspectives. So Columbia, family-oriented county, and then he brought me in the city with Northwood. And time to get tough. Not that I wasn't tough, of course, because I came into Northwood doing my thing, but he just wanted to make sure we had all those tools in our toolbox. So I came into Northwood and 9/11, started at 9/11 with Coach Derrick. He was our conditioning coach. Coach Ringo, and I think Coach Chase, a couple other coaches. Great coaching staff. We went to the Super Bowl. Pop Warner Super Bowl and Wild World of Sports in Florida. So that was monumental for us young men coming from Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, you know, a lot of people, it was their first time in the airport. A lot of people, that was their first time taking a team trip and going away from home. 90% of us, that was the first time anybody ever got to experience a plane ride. So it helped allow us to see other things out there, which it helps you get cultured.
I hear that your family is like really big in America. How did that come about?
Yes. So again, all glory and praise to my parents, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for allowing us to be where we are. I tell people all the time, we're a faith-driven family. We set our goals, we set our visions, and we believe that without no vision, you will perish because you have no direction or nothing to go towards. So that's pretty much that. And then, yeah, man, just football. Northwood, finished at Northwood. And unfortunately, we did lose to this team from Texas, man, oh man. Tan, when I say these boys could play, and that's where I really started to begin to understand the value in repetitions. So if you're here in Maryland up north, you experience the winter months, you're not getting reps like the kids in Texas and Florida.
Absolutely,
So they ultimately gave us the business, and we lost, but it was a great experience.
Yeah. So of course, all of that kind of led you to what we're doing. So explain to us about exactly what it is you do and what we're going to partake in.
Yes.
In a minute.
Yes. So we will partake in some green drink. The green drink is a special apple that I get imported, and it's just spinach, and it's in proper proportion. So we will get into the green drink, and like I said, right now, I'm totally into health and wellness, nutrition. So when I teach my kids in school, part of the curriculum is nutrition, health and wellness. How can we make better choices? And my main thing is to, like the God we serve, He gives us options. So we'll give you a choice. It's up to you to make the choice, but typically when humans are informed, they will make the right decision.
Right. It's kind of poignant that we get into that health phase of the show, but because Tam was talking about earlier today that this was Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, yes.
So tell us a little about what you intake has a lot to do with your mental health. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's everything. It's no difference than having a car or a vehicle and, having a Corvette and not putting the proper fuel in it. It's not going to perform right. It's going to be off. It's like having a computer and downloading the wrong type of data on it or the wrong type of virus scan protection. It's not compatible. Mm-hmm. So in all things, we have to be compatible. And that's what this health and wellness journey is about, mental health Awareness Month. At one point, I suffered from depression and insomnia, and they wanted to give me Zoloft and medicines like that when I was in the fire department. But I knew it was a better way. I knew the power of nutrition. I knew the power of what's inside of you will ultimately be what comes out. So consistently, I just really was adamant and dedicated, feeding myself natural foods, organic foods, foods that come from the ground, foods with a limited process. For example, the green drink is a limited process. No chemical processes in it. The only process is we take the apple from the tree and we put it through a juicing machine, cold press juice machine. So everything's processed, but what's the process, right? And there's no chemical additives. So
let's give it a shot, though.
Gotta try it.
Let's
Mr. Mac
partake.
Fear Sam.
Let's partake.
I just got a juicer for Christmas, and I've been putting pineapple and ginger and all that good stuff in it.
We take shots of the green drink at home, and what we do at home is we of course eat vegetables because we got to get some fiber in, but it's cheaper. Most kids waste vegetables, so we drink our vegetables, we eat our steak on our plate, and we drink our veggies. All right.
All right, so let's partake. Delicious.
Wow.
That's tough.
This tastes amazing.
So explain to me, yo, break it down and tell me what exactly is in there.
I taste some kiwi up in there. Am I right?
No, it's just apples and spinach. Like I said, I've dedicated myself to. I actually now have somebody in California where my little brothers are. We set up shop, so the McPhersons go from west to Midwest to east. So it's just a phone call to get on the next coast. But I've done my homework, diligently found a quality supplier. It's a farmer who has a farm, and what he does is he get certain fruits imported. I didn't even ask him all of that information yet. But he sends it here. He sends it here in the masses, and it's gotten to the point where 2 years ago, I knew it was a consistent business when everybody in the gym wanted some, and I give it to them a week at a time because it expires after 4 days. It's a live enzyme. So I was up all night juicing, but I'm so passionate about it. I wanted to give people this goodness. It's a healer. It heals diabetes. It heals other ailments. It heals other diseases. And people got to remember, we get disease because it's not adhering to our body. Definitely. Okay, so now when your pancreas has the sugars that it can, it's compatible to, it knows what to do with it. And now that organ is getting live enzymes, and it's not dead, and it just wakes back up.
It's definitely important to teach the youth and everything. And speaking of youth, I want to know how do you feel about the student athletes now, and what's your take on them, the student athletes now?
My take on the student athletes now, man, wasting a lot of time, have to work harder.
Positive and negative.
Yeah. Yes, of course. I feel like
y'all keep talking. I'm gonna partake. Son.
Yes, sir. It's so many resources nowadays that I feel like the amount of resources available can cause a little bit of an inconsistency, the indecisiveness. The kids are definitely smarter nowadays. We just have to be more clear in our direction as coaches, teachers, mentors, and trainers. What I've realized is that the kids are definitely making me really execute my business so that I can articulate to them what it is I'm trying to say or get them to understand. Now, the hardest thing is that, like for me, academically, I was a student that was considered academically disability. I was one of those guys. So when I look at trying to articulate to guys like myself and to other guys who can actually intellectually articulate what I'm trying to say, it makes me just be that much better because I have to have A to Z.
Right. So, in closing, we need your social media handle, man. We need all of it so we can get these people in touch with this stuff, man, and because it's delicious. First of all,
We want to know where we could reach you, how we could get some more of this
Yeah.
juice.
absolutely, man.
Instagram, MacFit Performance, MACFIT Performance, all one word. Facebook, you can reach me by my name, Derek McPherson, or MacFit Performance. LinkedIn, Derek McPherson. Or just hit up Meet Trenches and tell them to hit me. Collaborate. So that's pretty much it.
Well,
Thanks,
thanks
man.
for
We really
coming on the
appreciate
show.
you, man, coming on, and good luck to your endeavors and all the good stuff, man, because it's some good stuff, man.
Thanks for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely.
Sharing.
And we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Our mission focuses on showcasing local and global talent of all ages on and off the field. We will strive to inspire, educate, and bridge the divides through our media collaboration. Our goal is to give student athletes and coaches the platform to let their talents be seen and a platform for the community to let their voices be heard. This is the Union Media Group.
Hey, everybody, we are back at Meet Us in the Trenches.
Thank you. Tan, we back.
We back.
We
and
back.
we have another guest with us, Mr. Joseph Lorick. Welcome
Joseph
to Meet Us in the
Lorick.
Trenches.
Yeah. So, tell us about yourself, Mr. Lorick, and what you do, and your endeavors. Break it down for us.
I want to know all your career titles. I want to know all of it.
And I own a lot of businesses. So I'm a lot of things.
Okay.
But first thing I'm gonna say is I'm a problem solver. Okay, before anything, whatever occupation I have, whatever business I start, it starts with me and my skill as being somebody that can simplify things and problem solve, because that can translate across the board. Whether in sports or whether in work, it doesn't matter. In life, transferable. But I am the owner of the Money Etiquette Group, which is a financial consulting business. We help people with budgeting, we help people with their lifestyle dreams, and we help businesses get started. And recently, we help political campaigns fundraise. So across the board, dealing with money, the Money Etiquette Group. Also, I wrote 2 books, Did Everything But Think, and Did Everything But Think, the relationship edition. All of that was through the Money Etiquette Group. I'm also a licensed realtor, so it ties in. I help people with their dreams, and after I help set them up, I help get them in a home, because we know real estate is a easy method or a straightforward method to creating wealth. I'm also, or I was for 2 years, a guest host, a weekly host on Good Morning Baltimore on WAA, as affectionately known as Uncle Joe, where we would do our weekly financial segments and, just talk about how we can answer questions that aren't getting answered, how we can give out information that hasn't been given out and put it in language that's understandable by everyone. So I do that. Another thing, I own a business that is kind of in the audio visual. I actually own a business called Backyard Movie Theaters, which I started during the pandemic when no one could go to the movie theaters. So I would set up big screens, audio, visual, at people's homes. I would do it for PTA groups, for nonprofits, and that's grown into, crazy enough, my most profitable business that I own. And it was like a nice side thing, but it's grown. So I have that, and then outside of that, I'm a full-time father too. So, that's always going to be a permanent job, you know what I mean?
What inspired you to get into the financial aspect of things?
Well, my first job, I went to Bowie State University, and my senior year, I got a job because of my cousin. He told me, come over to MBNA at the time and work for this credit card company. And I studied finance while I was in college. I majored in marketing, and I had a minor in finance. So I wanted to go into the financial field, and then once I got that job, that opened up all doors and understanding. Like, I felt so cheated when I started working there because of the information that I was gaining. It seemed like these were things I should have learned in school. These are things that I should have been empowered with very early in my life. And that's when I wrote the book, because I felt like more people needs to know like this information. I felt like just we were being cheated. So that kind of made me want to get more information. I moved up in the company, went from like collecting to being a credit manager to being a risk analyst to working over almost all of small business banking and U.S. consumer banking in the country for B of A. So I took that information and then I gave it to my people.
So tell us a little bit about your educational background and what led you to become the man you in academically.
I got you.
And professionally. Got you.
I'm a Baltimore City public school person. From kindergarten all the way through high school. I went to St. Clair Lane Elementary School in Northeast Baltimore, went to Fairley Elementary School, went to Northeast Middle School. Then I went to City College with Anthony Pay, where I played a little ball with him a little bit.
Okay.
And then I went on to Bowie State University. And I would say my time at City, I would say definitely helped to open my mind, especially with some of the professors and teachers I had, to seeing the world differently outside of my neighborhood. So I would say that was the first level where I really understood who I was as a black man in this country, in this city, and what I was capable of.
Awesome. Well, we have a clip of you that we're going to play for the audience.
Uh-oh. See, I didn't know that.
I'm not here to promote cutting back without having a plan to move forward. I'm saying you should do both at the same time. You can cut back, but you can transition that money into something that's going to build more wealth for you. And if that isn't working, cut that off and keep cutting it off until you find something that works.
Right.
But ultimately, we should be able to easily replace the things in our lives that we know tomorrow, if things get tight, you know what, I'm cutting off that trip to this restaurant. I'm cutting off this. I'm cutting off dating X amount of people. I'm cutting off buying certain clothes. I'm cutting off doing this. Okay, if you can do that now, cut it off now.
Okay.
And take that money and invest it while people are scared, because It's like, number one, we shouldn't panic when we see news headlines about international conflicts and about people colluding to weaken the U.S.
Good, man.
When it comes down to it, we're so intertwined in trade that these economies can't exist without our trade. Just to throw this last stat out there, when it comes to China, we are literally their biggest buyer. The United States of America is China's biggest customer. So China doesn't necessarily want to be in a negative relationship with us, and they're our third biggest importer. So obviously, we don't want to have a negative relationship with them. It always works out over money. So don't panic, don't go too far. But this is the biggest lesson you can take from the big boys, okay, from the big governments. We should also have this same level of infrastructure in our lives on our level. Who is your China? Who is your Australia? Who's your Mexico? Who's your Canada? Somebody in your circle, people in your circle should be bringing resources to you to trade, and you should be exporting a good too, but you have to figure out what's your best export. Is it just labor? Is it just that you can give hours to do a job, or do you provide more of a resource?
And we are back. I hope you enjoyed those clips. So I had a question for you.
Okay.
What can you say are some of the things that you cut back on, you stopped spending money on, because it's really important to save money. So what are some things that you kind of like cut out?
Let me tell you something. I didn't start with cutting. I started with, when I make my goals, when I make my budgets, I start with how I want to live. Before I say, well, what do I need to cut back on? And then I go from there. So I look at it and say, well, okay, based on my goal of having a house, traveling a certain amount, wearing certain clothes, eating out a certain amount, I wasn't looking to change my habits. I was saying, how can I finance my habits? Because usually when we try to change our habits, it's not sustainable. So I started with, okay, what do you like to do? And then how much does that cost? Can you afford what you want to do? And here's something that I would say I've had a philosophy from a long time, from my parents, from my household. To this day, you know, I'm debt-free. I don't spend money on credit outside of, not even that anymore. It used to be a car, but I paid my car off. So I only have a mortgage. I have no other credit. So when I look at credit, I look at it as it's trying to fill a gap for something I can't afford. I wanted to know how much I can afford. That way, when I look at my work life, I don't have to work until I'm 60 or 70 trying to pay off debt that I built early in my life. Like, technically, I live now like a retired life, where I get up every day at a different time to take care of a different thing. If I sold my house, all my debts would be paid off, plus I would still have a lot left over. And ultimately, I call that freedom. So my first book and my first statements that I put out there in terms of this was about freedom, not so much about money. It's more about freedom, having the freedom to build a life you want, having the freedom to pursue careers that you want, relationships that you want, children, family that you want, and can you afford it? That's why I start with everything.
And as far as investing into certain things, what are some things that you would suggest to our community? What are some good things to invest in?
Got you. Investments are tricky in this way. If you want something guaranteed, when interest rates are high, get yourself a CD. All right, that's a guarantee. You go to your bank, you let your money sit for 6 months. CD rates are higher now than they were like 4 or 5 years ago, giving you 5 to 6 or 7%. And that also builds a relationship with the bank where they'll be more likely to give you a higher loan because you completed a CD without pulling that money out early. Also, when it comes to like the stocks and stuff like that, no wise person who's into investments would tell a person to buy a specific stock. The reason being is because it's what's right for you. What I do is I do my research, and I start with who do I support as a consumer now. I look at, okay, if I like Nike, if I like Jordans, then maybe I need to look into Nike stock. If I'm into, you know, just doing anything, cars, any brands, anything like that, I look at where I spend my money, and if I'm willing to spend my money, I feel like I should be willing to invest. So that's a good place to start for anyone, but it's always do your research. Look, Google is your best friend. Each company that's public puts out public financial statements, so you can review their books. You can see if they're making money. They have to tell you what their plans are. So really, as long as you do your homework, look, you don't have to be an expert. Just do your research and do what's best for you.
So once again, tell us the name of your books and what they stand for, and I think is it an acronym?
Yeah,
or, yeah.
I got you. The first book I wrote was Did Everything But Think, which is an acronym for DEBT. DEBT is Did Everything But Think. And that was about me. So I didn't write that about anybody else. I actually wrote that about my own journey when it came to finances and my outlook on things, overcoming things that I learned through my community, through my neighborhood, and making sure when it came to financial planning, I was doing everything but thinking, but now I do a lot more thinking. You know, not just in spending money, even down to like going to college. You know, I was one of the early proponents of if you can't afford school, don't get in too much debt just to get a degree and then be in debt for the rest of your life chasing that. Now, I'm not saying school is good. I graduated, but I say do it at the right cost. Making sure that your degree can pay for what you're going to do from trade school, whatever route you go, making sure you can afford it. Getting married, I say, look, before you decide to have a big wedding, make sure that wedding don't destroy your marriage. You know, make sure you don't put so much money into the occasion that you're struggling and fighting over money. Having kids, I know that on average it costs, and this is in the book, it costs $250,000 to $275,000 per kid to raise each child from 0 to 17. So if you run that number, you start to see how much money you need to make over that lifetime to raise those kids. So even down to how many kids I have, I'm like, well, I'm gonna have as many if I can afford. But once it gets unaffordable, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna do that. You know, it's just my choice. So all those, even down to retirement, that's in the book too. How to go about retirement. Do you want to retire in your 40s? Do you want to retire in your 50s, your 60s? Don't let somebody tell you got to wait until you're 70 to retire. Build your life how you would like it to do and strategize so you can get there. So that's what the first book is about. And then the second book is DEBT, the relationship edition. Now that one is all about financial compatibility. And it's the first half of it for single people, the second half of it are for married folk. And the reason being is because we should be having honest conversations about money from the beginning. You know, and it's not about right or wrong. Look, if somebody likes everything paid for, let it be known. And if I'm a person that like to pay for everything, I should let it be known. But if that doesn't work, then let's say that doesn't work. Also, when it comes to that, what that means, someone that likes to pay for everything also usually controls the money. So it's a lot of things tied into finances, but I'm more about having an open conversation without it being awkward. You know, without it being like invasive and without it being offensive, so that you can have less people arguing about money because you've decided, okay, this is what poor means, this is what rich means to me, this is what wealthy means to me, this is what not wealthy means to me. Using these words, but understanding what that really means to each individual. That's an entire guidebook on how to have those conversations.
I'm gonna have to look those up. So why do you think voting was down in the city of Baltimore during the most recent election?
Ooh, okay. Now, let me put this out there. I was doing this election. Look, first, let me put this out there. I've worked in Baltimore city politics for 12 years. 12 years. I was a treasurer for a city council race. I was also a political director for a mayoral campaign 4 years ago. And then this most recent run, I was a campaign manager for Through Vigneraj, I put out there, who was running for Baltimore City Mayor, who's also one of my friends. So I've seen politics from another side. A lot of people see me, and in fact, they surprised that they're like, hold up, you were Thoreau's campaign manager? I said, it's a lot that goes on in politics you don't know behind the scenes when it comes to knowing people and who they are. But ultimately, we knew in the race that the turnout was going to be low. We did polling. We saw ahead of time that things were not going to be too much. People weren't encouraged. And a lot of it had to do with people were not inspired by the leadership choices. You know, this is no shot at any candidate. In fact, let me let you know, I know Brandon, okay, I know Sheila, they know me. I know Bob, you know, who went to Poly, you know, the other school. But, yeah, I gotta say that. But I know all these people outside of the political season, and I can tell you, we all saw that things were gonna be lower because ultimately it's a failure to have inspirational leadership. Just to put it out there, we've been dropping in population since 1950. In the 1980s, we had over 700,000 people in the city. Now we're down to 585,000. That affects all aspects of life. That affects us in sports and schools. It's less competitive. You don't have as many athletes that could come out of a certain nature because you don't have as many kids. You don't have as many mentors. You don't have as much money coming into here for these programs because we don't have as many people as we would like. And a big part of that is because of people are not inspired by leadership. Like the last real inspirational mayor, just in my opinion, and from what I see from his response, was actually Kirk Smoke. Kirk Smoke can walk into a building today and still get called mayor. He still gets a certain level of respect because people, not saying he was the best, but people believed in him. People believed in William Donald Schaefer. But since then, we haven't had mayors that inspire people to say, I want to come out and vote. Just think of this real quick. I just want to throw this out there. To make it clear, if Barack Obama, not presidential Barack Obama, okay, if Barack Obama from Chicago was running for mayor in Baltimore City, we'd have had record turnout. Because people are inspired by the person. You have to be inspirational to get people to vote.
I guess that's our goal. We got to find a way to get people inspired. But thanks again for coming. Please, again, let the viewers know where they can follow you.
On IG, it's Joseph Lork. I go by my name because that's the easiest way to find me. Facebook, if you want to look up my Backyard Movie Theaters company on IG, it's Backyard Movie Theaters and Backyard Movie Theaters VA. And ultimately, most of my content, just look up Joseph Lork, you'll find me.
All right, well, thanks for coming on our show. We will be back. Shout out again to Mo Seafood, Brainstream Media, and Tone Drone TV, and we'll be right back with Meetusinthetrenches.
Tone Drone.
Our mission focuses on showcasing local and global talent of all ages on and off the field. We will strive to inspire, educate, and bridge the divides through our media collaboration. Our goal is to give student athletes and coaches the platform to let their talents be seen and a platform for the community to let their voices be heard. This is the Union Media Group.
We're back with Meet Us in the Trenches. It's our last segment for the night. And got my guy here, man, Troy Hambrick, call him Trouble T-Roy. And a lot of people don't know me and Troy go way back. We worked special ed summer school together where it was tough, man. We chasing kids up down the hallway. They fighting every 3 minutes, but it was tough, and but glad he's here, and Mr. Kendall Hilton, and we're gonna talk a little bit about what they do and what they do for the community and everything.
So
I can start it out. Hey Troy, tell us about what you do, and your TV show and all your endeavors, because I know you heavy in the community.
I'm the host of a local youth sports show here in Baltimore that airs on My TV Baltimore, which is part of the Fox 45 network. It's called Urban Sports Beat. We focus on young people in terms of sports, but we also focus on them in terms of their behavior in school, in their community, and giving them a positive vehicle to be successful. We want kids to know that you can be on television and on social media, not for the negative things, but you can also be on there for some of the positive things. And I started out maybe some 13 or 14 years ago as an intern at Fox 45 with my mentor, Bruce Cunningham, over at Fox 45. And I could have went to a network, but I wanted to do some good because I felt like the professional athletes were getting all of the exposure. All the networks were covering them, and I wanted to cover our kids who aren't getting any exposure. So I decided to start my own company and start a television production. And I was waiting for a network to call me and get a job with a network, but God said, why wait for somebody else to do for you what you can do for yourself? And with that said, that's what I embarked upon. I'm also the voice of St. Francis Academy Sports. So I announced the boys basketball, the girls basketball, and their football program. I've had access to so many people. And there were times when I started the television show that I felt like it couldn't be done. But God I would get to a point where I would say, well, I can't do this. This is just too much. And he would give me just a little bit to keep me going. And I said, God, I would wake up the next morning and say, you got me again. All right, let's keep pushing. And now it's 13 or 14 years later, and I'm not special or unique. I was just determined, and I felt like I had been chosen, and I showed up. So I'm here.
That is super inspiring. God is good all the time. I love that. So, Kendall, how did you get started in sports media journalism, and how long have you been in the field?
I got started in 2012. Started my own company called Fan Eye Sports, and just found my way. You know, started as a blogger. And then blogging, I got a job with the Afro, started writing for the newspaper. From there, it turned into me doing photography, videography. So I kind of like just touched every aspect of sports media throughout the years. So it's been a fun little journey.
So Troy.
Yes, sir.
You've been doing this thing a minute, man, and I remember you used to bring the
DVDs.
Used to bring the DVDs
to work
to the school.
Yes.
And
we would look at them in the morning.
We would look at them in the morning, and you used to tell me like, man, hey Barry, watch this. I want you to watch this, man. And, you know, the kids running around, but you be like, watch this, man. And we tried, and that was like the infancy stages almost, right? Mm-hmm. Of what you do now, and now to kind of see it, it's like, dang, man. I remember Troy telling me about that.
Came a long way.
Came a long way, man. And I remember about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, you kind of interviewed me.
Yes, I did.
And it got really emotional because I got to talking about my mentor, Coach Wren.
Yeah, Coach Wren.
And you know, that was really like a prelude to what I'm doing now. So you kind of like showed me in retrospect, like even how to do this, man. And I really appreciate you, brother. I really love you from the bottom of my heart, man. And that means a lot to me, man. So I just hope that, you know, everything you're doing, man, you keep doing it. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Well, I just finished doing an interview with James Brown from CBS Sports, who hosts the NFL on Sundays. I just finished another interview with Chad Steele, who is the Vice President of Player Relations for the Ravens. I did some color commentary in February for ESPN Plus for HBCU Sports at Coppin State University. And, you know, when these jobs and opportunities come, I show up, because it can't happen if I don't show up. I can't let fear, I can't say, well, I'm not ready, or I need to do this first. I said, I'll take it. What time, what day, you built for this, show up. and it all works out. And sometimes it's better than I ever planned it. And so when I leave the events and the people, and I'm saying, wow, look what you're doing. And I've had the opportunity to talk to so many people that are in sports that are quote unquote celebrities or what have you. And, I taught, and people ask me, do you get nervous before the interviews? And I was talking to my cameraman as we came over here. I don't really get a chance to be nervous because we got to go. We got to get it. They right there. They got the buffers in front of them that's trying to stop you from getting the interview. So you got to hustle to get those interviews. So I hustle. I articulate my position, what we need to do. We need you. We need your impact. We need you to give something back. And the athletes, 99.9% of the time, give me my interview. And, I talk, I give them my business cards, we build relationships. I built a great relationship with John Harbaugh. And he's come to games that I've announced, and he's interviewed for our TV show. And he just calls me the voice. And so, I'm talking to them about getting that job. And so I got to ask for what I want and then pray on it and see if it materializes. Talk with the Wizards, this past year they invited me out and fed me and gave me a good seat. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. So, from Stephen A. Smith to LeBron James to Carmelo Anthony to John Wall, Lamar, RG3, and I talked to them and I asked them a specific question. What do athletes of your caliber, what do they all have in common? Stephen A. said, work ethic, hard work. And for people like us, you gotta be twice as nice just to be equal. So you gotta really work your ass off.
You're right about that. And speaking of work ethic, I have a question for you, Kendall. Where has this field taken you, and what accomplishments are you most proud of?
Man, that's a great question. This field has allowed me to see the world. I was in Europe 2 years ago. That was my first, doing a documentary.
Oh, that's awesome.
Troy actually gave me my first producer job. I actually produced a couple TV shows for him. So, it's definitely put me in places and around people that I never would have imagined to be around. I'm a sports junkie first, like that. I've always been that. So I guess my passion has kind of driven me to just keep going and keep doing it. But yeah, I've like Harbaugh, Deion Sanders, Allen Iverson, Melo. Like if pretty much 70% of the NBA right now, I've probably seen them when they was in high school. I've got to talk to people, mothers and #1 picks. So doing all that for me now, just looking back on it, how I started, and then coming to where I am now, it's like it's definitely a blessing. But a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights. It's not easy. It's not something that's just gonna happen. You definitely gotta put the work in, and you just gotta believe in yourself. You can't let nobody else tell you what you can do or what you can't do. You gotta just do it. And sometimes don't even say nothing to nobody. Like nobody knew I was gonna go to Europe to do a documentary until I did it. So you just gotta do it sometimes.
So what gems do you have and advice for young people to get into your field and your field of study?
Master your aesthetics. Learn what makes your whether it's videos or pictures, master that. Master your style, master your look. And once you master that, can't nobody really take it from you. It's yours. It's that, like Fan Eye is created off of a camera phone, honestly. Like I did a whole summer of games and helped build the league off of a camera phone. Most people are out there with $1,000 cameras. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use a phone for a whole summer. And that's what it turned out to be one of the biggest leagues out here right now. So you just gotta master what you want your stuff to look like. And And like I said, just do it. Whatever you want to do it. Like don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Just do it.
What do you see the future of Fan Eye Sport production being? And what is another like gem you could give to the young shooters out there?
The future. More documentaries. I like storytelling. You know, I got a strong passion for storytelling. I think I'm good at it. I just learned that I could do it. like I said, Troy gave me my first producer job, so I definitely want to produce more stuff as far as TV shows, documentaries, and even outside of sports. You know, I think I kind of want to start navigating myself outside of sports just to show like I can do it.
Do you have anybody specific that you'd like to work with?
Anybody?
Some inspirations, maybe.
Anybody that I would like to work with? That's a good question. I don't know. I've got to meet all the people I wanted to meet. Like anybody I wanted to meet, I've met them already. But you know, it's not necessarily who I want to meet. It's just things I want to do. You know, I definitely want to keep telling more stories about Baltimore. Like we're a forgotten city, especially in sports. When it comes to basketball, football, we are very much forgotten when you go outside of this town. So I kind of definitely want to tell more of our stories.
Speaking of basketball, kind of bring us into the basketball leagues you got going on in the street ball. And
so
that's a question for you and Troy, but you can lead us off with that.
So you got the Brunson League that's coming up on 10 years now. I helped, turn that into one of the top leagues in the country. You got Free Smoke. We got an event coming. That's the one-on-one league. We got that coming up. And I forgot the date, but we got an event coming up for that. And yeah, street ball has been my home. That's where I got my name from. That's where I've built my brand. It's been street ball, all street ball. So everything after that is because of street ball. Can't even front.
Well, our basketball season is climactically come to an end for this season at St. Francis, but I was happy for Angel, to get in the WNBA, to be the 7th pick in the draft. We recently did some stuff with one of the middle schools. Calvin Rodwell in Beachfield had their middle school championship game, and we went to film it and highlight the kids and do post-game interview with them right on the court, right after the game. So we want to give them that feel that you get at the highest level. We're giving it to the kids at this young age, so when they do get there, they can say, I've been here before. And so at St. Francis, when Angel was in the 9th grade all the way up to the 12th grade, for Ace Baldwin, Carlton Carrington, who will be in the NBA draft, all of those kids I've worked with since the 9th grade. And so we've done interviews with them and prepared them for what's to come, so they are ready. And it's about giving back. And I get emotional talking about it, but I'm also a Baltimore City Schools educator, and I've been doing that for 20 years. My journey, it's been challenging. I've overcome a lot, but a lot of it is my own doing. Finding direction, growing up in the projects, not having a mother or a father, but I'm here, and so can you. So keep pushing, keep grinding, keep striving.
I want to touch more on what he's saying, because a lot of those kids that he named, like, we have to interview them and prepare them. A lot of this is representation. Like, when you go to these events, you don't see too many of us. It ain't too many of us. So when you go up to a kid or you go to a game and every kid on the court is black, but every cameraman or journalist is white. You know, but that's why when I walk into any gym, I make sure like my presence is known, because that makes them feel comfortable. So representations, people like Troy, you know, representation is everything in this field.
Ooh, that was tough. So tell us about how you could be reached, and you know, man, that got me touched up, right? Troy, that's my guy, man. Troy always been he's been emotional when we work together, but Troy will tell a story. Troy is a great guy, man. But tell us how you could be reached, man.
Fani Sports, FANI Sports. Yeah, that's on everything. Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Trouble T. Roy.
Yes. Our show airs every Saturday night at 12:30 on my TV, Baltimore. You can catch us on the public access channel, Engage Network, channel 75. You can catch up with our show on Troy Hackley USB on Facebook, at Urban Sports Beat on Instagram. And we're on Twitter. I forgot that one. But we also have done internships with Morgan State, the Maryland Broadcasting Institute with young people, and working with kids in the school system and giving them hope. And our website, urbansportsbeat.com.
So, in conclusion, it's going to wrap it up for this week's show. Meet Us in the Trenches. We'd like to thank all the guests and Troy and Kendall and Doc and Joseph. It's pretty big. It's a great show, man. Great show tonight. And we want to shout out to our sponsors.
Shout out to the sponsors: Tone, Drone TV, Brainstream Media, and Mo Seafood. Thank you guys all for coming to the show today. It was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being such an inspiration to the community as well. See ya in 2 weeks.
Our mission focuses on showcasing local and global talent of all ages on and off the field. We will strive to inspire, educate, and bridge the divides through our media collaboration. Our goal is to give student athletes and coaches the platform to let their talents be seen and a platform for the community to let their voices be heard. This is the Union Media Group.